So I was racially profiled here in Portland, Oregon. So I leave my housing, my beautiful accessible housing. Thank you so much to my client, the Oregon Community Foundation, for accommodating my request. And I look up the nearest Starbucks to this place, and it's inside of a Safeway, which I don't mind because I'm not fancy. So I walk a couple blocks, go into the Safeway, and go grocery shopping because I can't go into a grocery store without finding $50 worth of things that I think I really, really need. So I spend my $56. I get my venti soy latte. I look at my watch and realize I've now spent so much time shopping that there isn't time to take my coffee back to my cute accessible housing. So I sit there in the area next to, it's a seating area that's near the Starbucks kiosk, so I can sip my coffee, and they direct me to where I can sit down. So I sit, I'm sipping, and that's when I feel a sort of shadowy presence being like, so what's going on over here? And of course, I look up, and it takes me a second. It takes me a breath to go, oh, you're here because you're concerned about loitering. And I think because I asked the question in that way, or because I state reality in that way, the only response he can say is, well, yeah. And he immediately, his affect changes, his body language becomes, instead of aggressive, it becomes conciliatory. He does a very strange sentence where he tries to explain to me that, they've had troubles with, people, but what he does is he leaves these large blank parts in the sentence that I think I'm supposed to fill the blanks in for, about the demographics of people that they have had trouble with inside their store and don't want to have in their store. And of course, he's all awkward and weird about it because he just thought that I was part of that demographic, which confuses me because look at my outfit. Come on. These are very expensive pants. I am literally wearing fancy pants. So I get up, I get in the Lyft outside, and I say to the Lyft driver, really sweet old white lady, I was just racially profiled. And she's like, I've been trying to learn more about that because this is the United States, and large portions of the population are still apparently unaware that Black people are receiving racialized microaggressions almost every single day. Every single day in the United States, there's a few brown people who are being harassed, who are being monitored, who are being surveilled, who are being murdered by officers of the state, or security guards, or sometimes vigilantes. Hashtag every 28 hours. So she's like, oh my gosh, that guy was wrong. That individual security guard was wrong. And she suggests that I should write a very long, impassioned letter to the corporation of Safeway so they can discipline him. And I tried to explain to her that, that's not really going to help. Also, if I wrote a letter every time I received a microaggression, all I would do is write letters every single day in the United States. I don't have time for that extra job, right? So I was like, I'll tweet about it so that a couple hundred folks know this happened to me today. And she's like, that's not enough. She wants me to do more. She's actually a little bit on fire about it. She really wants me to do more to, fight the racial injustice that I experienced. But in her brain, it's individual bad person who can be taught and disciplined and changed. It's not systemic racism that's the problem. And then she decides to tell me a story because she wants to empathize. So she's like, I know exactly how you feel. I grew up in Hawaii. And I'm like, oh. Okay. And she's like, I grew up in Hawaii, and, when I was there, once I went to a store with this white lady, and the guy behind the counter, he was a native Hawaiian, and he was like, we don't serve white people. And we had to leave and buy what we needed from another store. And I'm like, that's not the same at all. Very different. But we're in a car ride. I don't have time, and frankly, I don't have the capacity to teach her the difference between individual prejudice and systemic racism. I also don't have the time to explain to her that possibly that brown person was actually being reasonable in terms of protecting their own boundaries, and perhaps her experience of not feeling like she has access to everything all the time isn't the same as me always being monitored and policed in all spaces because I'm a Black person. Here's the good news. because I'm actually upset about this. I am. And it's not a big deal. It's so low key. I wasn't even interrupted in my commercial transaction with the institution. I already given them my money and gotten my goods. This security guard could have reacted badly to my tone of voice and decided that I was being uppity or insulting, and he could have doubled down in his attempt to police me and discipline me. And in fact, he stopped doing that, and I left. He could have also decided that he needed to escalate and up the stakes and then called in officers of the state. This happens to brown people all the time. It is very easy to go to the store to just buy something and then find yourself embroiled in some exchange with officers of the state because you have somehow done something inside the store where the people who are in the store have decided they needed to call the police. It's complicated being a brown person in this country. But here's the good news. I feel really confident that the work that I am doing in the world is helping to dismantle white supremacy. So, in the day where I was racially profiled, I was actually able to do a bunch of work that helps to dismantle white supremacy in the world. On the day that I was racially profiled, I was able to participate in a beautiful process that's going to help artists all over the state of Oregon do the vital and necessary work of creating culture in our community. And I think that these communities that have this artistic cultural production are safer for the people who live here in this state. We all live here. It would be really great if we could acknowledge that we all live here, and maybe we shouldn't be told that we don't belong. Safeway and Starbucks told me rather explicitly, they reminded me that it doesn't matter how much money I spend in them and on them. At some point, I will always be told I do not belong.